anxiety isn't actually the problem. It's a symptom of something else that's going on beneath. So using any tool, whether it be breathing or meditation or counting, walking, exercise, supplements, you name it, to try to make that anxiety go away is the very thing that keeps it stuck. If your anxiety won't go away despite doing all the right things, then this video is probably why. I'm also going to share one bonus, so make sure to stick around to the end because it's probably something you haven't even thought of. If you're new here, my name is Diante. I'm a clinical psychologist, anxiety coach, and the author of The Gift of Anxiety. And what I see in my practice is something really fascinating, that what most people are using, the tools and strategies to make their anxiety go away, are actually the very thing that are keeping it stuck. Before we dive in, it's really important to understand that the number one reason that anxiety stays stuck is because we are afraid of the actual experience. We've created a self-perpetuating loop called the fear of fear loop. It's when you're afraid of anxiety, so you're always anxious that you might be anxious, and so effectively, you're always anxious. If you want to know more about this, I have an entire video of the number one reason anxiety stays stuck. I'll link it for you so you can go and have a look. But here's where most people get it wrong. They have anxiety, they go see a doctor or a therapist, and then they're handed a plethora of coping mechanisms and tools to help them manage that anxiety. But what those tools are generally doing is keeping us stuck in that fear of fear loop. And today I'm going to show you exactly how the top 5 common coping mechanisms keep you stuck in that loop. The very first is social media support groups. And guess what? You're going to be faced with hundreds of comments of people who are experiencing things in very different ways because each one of us are unique. So our medication is going to affect us very differently. You're not actually going to get any kind of certainty from those messages. What you're going to get is a lot more confusion. I guarantee that those support groups are not helping you feel better. If you want connection, it is really highly recommended that you join an expert-led community, somewhere where a psychologist or therapist or someone who knows what they're doing is leading that group and helping you to get information that feels reassuring and feels like it is uplifting and empowering rather than creating more fear and confusion. The second coping mechanism that we often use is seeking reassurance. Now, maybe you have health anxiety and so you're on Google every other day to try to see whether that symptom means something more sinister. Or maybe you're just reaching out to your partner or family to tell you that you're going to be okay, that nothing bad is happening. That reassurance seeking makes perfect sense. When we're feeling afraid, we want to know from other people that we're going to be safe. The problem is it's providing you with some temporary relief right there in the moment, but it continues to send the message to your nervous system that something is not safe here and that you cannot trust yourself to know that you are safe. You have to ask somebody or Google it. Basically, reassurance seeking is a compulsion, and it's that compulsion that is reinforcing the fear of anxiety. The third most common coping mechanism is avoidance. And it's the big stuff that's most obvious, right? We avoid going to busy places, avoid getting on that airplane, avoid going on vacation or traveling far away from your home. Hell, avoid going to work. But sometimes we miss the smaller avoidances, sitting by the door so you have an exit plan, always keeping your phone with you, making sure that you don't park your vehicle too far away, or not going anywhere unless you have your safety person with you. Of course, avoiding situations that we believe is going to increase our anxiety makes sense for a nervous system that's terrified. The problem is that every one of those accommodations is confirming to you that anxiety is dangerous and that you don't have what it takes to cope with it. So when you avoid going to that place, or you're only going to go if you can keep your phone or someone can come with you, you're telling your nervous system that anxiety is dangerous and you need these things to stay safe. It's keeping you in a fear of fear loop. The fourth coping mechanism is a tricky one. It's positive thinking. Now, most people are going to tell you that when you're really anxious, just say positive things to yourself. Tell yourself, I'm safe, I'm in control, I know what I'm doing. The problem with positive thinking is that when the gap between what you're telling yourself versus what you're really feeling is too big, your brain calls BS on that. It knows you're lying, and it's only going to highlight how far away from where you want to be you actually are. So that becomes toxic positivity. Also, positive thinking is built on the assumption that anxiety is bad and negative, and you have to tell yourself something positive in order for it to go away. And that belief is keeping you in the fear of fear loop. Now, don't forget to watch that other video about the number one reason your anxiety is staying stuck, because that's really going to explain the fear of fear loop and how we perpetuate our own anxiety. The last coping mechanism is the wish to be rid of our anxiety. So using any tool, whether it be breathing or meditation or counting, walking, exercise, supplements, you name it, to try to make that anxiety go away is the very thing that keeps it stuck. Those tools are very helpful to help regulate a nervous system if you're willing to sit with the feeling and allow it. But the minute that you become desperate to push it away and be rid of it, you are generating a fear response of the anxiety and keeping yourself slightly anxious. So, for example, if I'm going to try a meditation to try to make my anxiety go away, there's going to be a part of me that's always checking to see if this meditation is working. And because I'm kind of anxious that I might see anxiety, when I look, I'm going to see it. And that's going to leave me feeling, oh, this meditation isn't working, nothing works for my anxiety. And of course, I'm going to feel more afraid of it. The sixth and final coping mechanism that most people use when they're anxious is going to problem-focused therapy. Therapy is positioned as the gold standard for anxiety, CBT, for example. CBT techniques to challenge your thoughts, breathing exercises, relaxation strategies, all in an attempt to manage, cope with, and get rid of anxiety are fueling the fear of anxiety. Every single strategy that I've just mentioned is built on the same foundation. It's built on the assumption that anxiety is a problem, a disorder, a mental illness, something that is a threat and needs to be managed. Until that changes and your thought processes and response to anxiety changes, the tools are not going to work. So what does actually work? Well, we have to understand why we got anxious in the first place. Anxiety isn't actually the problem. It's a symptom of something else that's going on beneath. We need to change our response to that anxiety so that we can move from a space of fear and self-perpetuating anxiety to a space of empowered acceptance. And we need to regulate our nervous system, because a burnt out and depleted nervous system can ping stress signals that make you think you're anxious when you're actually not. Ultimately, when you stop treating anxiety like an enemy, it stops being one. Now, if today resonated with you, then I highly recommend you go watch that video on the number one reason that your anxiety is staying stuck, because when you understand that fear of fear loop, you're putting yourself in a better position to interrupt that response and change your relationship with anxiety. Be sure to hit subscribe, because I'm sharing videos like this every week to help you understand anxiety and heal it.